All right, what's going on, guys? Today I wanted to go over one of the campaign types that not many people are talking about in Google Ads. It's in the back of their head, but they just don't know how to make it successful. And what that is competitor conquest campaigns or poaching campaigns. Really, there's different ways to talk about it. But really, what it is, if you think about it, if somebody's already looking for your competitor's brand, it means they're already in the market to buy. So if you can even argue that it's a better search term or keyword to target than somebody looking for like a non-branded term where they don't know any of the competitors, they don't know your brand. So the lowest hanging fruit, or one of the lowest hanging fruits you have, is setting up a dedicated campaign to bid on competitors. Now, sometimes it can be a little bit more expensive because your bid will have to be, $10, $15 even. Doesn't mean you're going to pay that much per click, but to be competitive, because again, Google understands your quality score for a competitor term is low since it's not your brand, you have to bid to kind of outweigh that. So today I wanted to show two examples and then also the cases where I would use it, and then also how you can get inspiration on which competitors to bid on if you just don't know where to start. Okay, so let's start off with two examples. So for an e-commerce example, I'm looking for Hume Health, and we can see, they have some branded shopping, which is good, branded search. But the thing that really sucks for them is the fact that there's another brand that is taking up a ton of real estate, ton of images here, almost like a carousel, and some headlines as well. Now, I would definitely do some tweakings if I was with things. I haven't heard of this brand, just to make it a little bit more captivating. How many happy users do you have? Any other USPs that you have about the product that Hume Health doesn't offer? But the goal with this, again, is to have winning ad copy. Try to have in the back of your head, like I would only have like 5 or 6 headlines, but all of them speak to, social proof, unique selling points of your product, and really like what makes you better than competitors, right? So if we click through here, it takes us to this type of page. First time I'm seeing it too. Yeah, like it's not too bad. But what I want to show you is I have another software example because I find software companies actually do this really, really well, because that's their whole business, right? Like a lot of SaaS companies, they have competitors, they have the traffic, and they just bid on it. And a lot of the structure of the accounts is just that instead of non-branded, more so non-branded colder terms like we'll see with e-commerce accounts. So let's jump into that. So here we have an example. I'm looking for DocuSign. This is probably my favorite one. I always reference it, but there's 3 other competitors that show up. The one that kind of captivated me and with their headline, send and sign faster than before. And let's click on it. So this is the type of page I would actually want to see, right? Because they're doing something to actually capture some info. For you, it could be, it could be like a shop now or something like that, or like displaying a product like your bestseller with X and X price discounted, just an example. But really, I would look through like just unique selling points, right? Very easy breakdowns, article, reviews, free trial, partners. And then this I always love, right? Because you can set this up for your brand as well, but like it literally shows what you have to offer that all the other competitors, are pretty much not offering. And I think it's a very easy kind of comprehensive view of that. So really the key thing I want to mention is if you can somehow get your keywords or competitor keywords to be mentioned on your competitor or comparison landing page, that would be ideal. Can improve your keyword quality score, right? Because if Google sees that brand or keyword is present, that can allow you to get away with cheaper CPCs. And the fact that, again, you're just talking about unique points, the number of reviews you have, who else you serviced, your experience in the industry, what's different about you, free trial, unique offering, that's going to allow you to capture this traffic. And so that's why it's beneficial to run these campaigns. And at the same time, I want you to just think in the back of your head, make sure you're running a brand search campaign as well. There's 2 sides of the spectrum where it's like sometimes online I'll see everybody just bashes branded search campaigns because it's an easy ROAS. But on the other hand, like you need to protect your brand, right? Because think if somebody is doing something like this to you, if we go back to Withings, or I mean, if we go back to Hume Health Search and we see that Withings is bidding on us, like that sucks, right? Because like obviously 89% you would hope that those customers actually go back to Hume Health, but you are losing people potentially by going to Withings, right? And it disrupts your user experience, right? So that's what I would want to keep in mind in terms of how to create the ad, and then also what a successful page would look like. Now let's jump into how I would figure out who is already bidding on me and see who it's worth kind of creating a conquesting campaign on. So let's dive into the way more exciting part is actually going into an account. I'm guessing this is what you wanted to see. But what I'm on here is we selected a branded search campaign. And where I went, you want to open the Insights and Reports tab, go to Auction Insights, and then you can take a look. I sort this by impression share because I want to see, of all the possible searches of my brand, how many times do I show up? And then also how many times do competitors show up, right? So in this case, it's pretty good, under 10%. It means they're probably not spending a lot of money. I mean, I'm not spending a lot of money on brand here. So realistically, it's not a huge deal. But where this starts to become a huge problem is when you're starting to see, 30, 40, 50%. And then also if you look at top of page pay rate or absolute top page rate, where it's actually like in the first or top 3 spots, the competitors showing up often, definitely a huge problem, right? Because again, then this is starting to go into branded search, but like I just want you to think of it from the reverse, right? Like you don't want to lose customers because there's the potential somebody will go to a competitor. So why not just do that to your competitors if, number one, they're already doing that to you, and if they're not doing it to you, just be proactive and do it, because you can start to get some sales, right? And it's not unethical, it's not illegal. This is a perfectly common strategy in Google Ads. A lot of people use it. So now let's dive a little bit into the campaign structure. So this is the breakdown of keywords that we're using in this account. I just can't show the exact keywords, but what I want you to keep in mind is I haven't overloaded this campaign. There's 5 to 10 keywords or so, and then everything's on exact or phrase match. I would refrain from using broad match because it'll obviously go past the selection that you have of competitors. So I would just focus on a few really specific competitors. And the way I want you to think of structuring this is, do you have specific landing pages that you want to send certain competitor queries to? If it's different for each competitor, or you have like a few competitors you really want to pinpoint, I would recommend that structure. And then on the other hand is like, if you don't have specific landing pages for each competitor, which typically people don't, maybe they just have one specific page, then I would be putting them all into one ad group like we have here. And I wouldn't want to overload it. I would just focus on a few of the key competitors that I know have search demand and are really like, they sell products that I have better alternatives to. And that's what I want to keep in mind. You can even go into Keyword Planner as well, and then search things like competitor reviews, competitor buy. I'm saying like just input your actual competitor. The reason is because some of these people are on the fence, right? Because if they're looking for reviews, the reviews specifically, they're on the fence, but buy, like they're ready to buy. So they could be influenced as well. That's possible. And then I would also look at verse. So like if you search your competitor verse, it might show you some other competitors that people also search to just compare. And that's the exact like query you would want. Again, there's not typically a lot of search volume for that, but just an idea. And like I said, I would stick between exact and phrase match. You can go to phrase match because maybe there's certain variations of the brand that you would want to show up for, maybe like with a certain product that exact match wouldn't pick up. But in this case, again, we knew the exact terms, we would just go on exact match. To keep in mind is the bidding strategy that you use. There are 2 that are typically due. If you're looking at this more from like a visibility standpoint and you just want to take away market share from your competitors, you can do what's called like a target impression share bidding strategy. I find it works solid, but typically speaking, you're optimizing for conversions and you want to be getting sales. So I would typically like to do a tCPA. So we would go to tools, budgets and bidding, set up a portfolio bidding strategy, and set up a tCPA. So we would, there's that preset in the portfolio bid strategies, and then you want to set a max bid as well. And then I would move towards a target return on ad spend once you've already gotten a few sales within your kind of cost per acquisition or cost per action target. So that's really the goal, is to move towards a target return on ad spend. And the algorithm pretty much will figure out, of these people that are searching, which ones actually have some type of intent to purchase from you instead, because that's the whole premise of smart bidding, is like Google understands all the parts of the user journey better than you could and adjusts bids along that journey. You're just saying, hey, like I want to target these types of searchers too, figure it out for me. In the most simple sense. So that's really the idea. So to recap, the structure that I want to run is a search campaign with high bids, starting with a tCPA, move towards a tROAS once you start to get some conversions. I would say after like 10 conversions, you can already start to move toward that. In terms of the landing page and how you structure the ad groups, have separate ad groups for each competitor if you have a specific landing page you want to send these competitors to. And on the other hand, like we have in this case, put all the keywords into one ad group just for simplicity's sake to push as much data as possible into this one ad group. And have the list of competitors here. I wouldn't overload it. 5 to 10 keywords is perfect. And then mix up exact and phrase match. Okay. And then the last thing in terms of ad copy, just make sure you're always mentioning unique selling points. Think of what's actually captivating to a person who might be on the fence. Think about maybe you had customer support emails and people were on the fence. They had certain questions. They're looking at a competitor. They're comparing. Make sure you mention this, the key points in your ad copy, because that's the most important, right? Because the key here is like you have, technically speaking, limited searches that people are looking for that competitor brand for. So the key is if you can improve your CTR, Google's going to say, hey, like, this person's delivering a pretty good user experience because of the people that are seeing this ad, a solid amount are clicking. And Google's also going to reward you in turn, likely with a lower CPC too. And you can just consolidate more traffic. Right. So if you don't have captivating ads, that's not going to work either. I would never really overload a campaign like this with 15 headlines and 4 descriptions. You could literally just take 2 of your best performing descriptions, look through maybe your PMAX campaigns, your other search campaigns, and add this in. And then also I would do like maybe 5 or 6 headlines, all of them obviously being unique, right? You want them to be different from each other. I just hate when I look into an account and then I see the exact same type of keywords or headlines like almost 15 times, because you're just pushing a constant learning phase. And learning phase in the sense like the algorithm can never test that many combinations effectively, because obviously the more headlines and descriptions you have, the more combinations there's going to be to test. So you want to make it as simple as possible. You're basically guiding the algorithm in the right direction here, but fundamentally that is the blueprint, I would say, for competitor conquest campaigns to really see success, because it can be a good way to capture sales. If you just want to try something else out and allocate or take out a little bit of budget, I would only take like 10 to 20% of budget. So like if you are spending, 300 per day, 400 per day, take maybe $40, like nothing crazy. It can be even lower. Like I've started campaigns with $20, $25 per day budgets and scaled them up to even 100 per day, just by performance. But again, like you want to have enough of a budget that you can bid aggressively, right? Because if each click is going to be all of a sudden $5 or $6, then you're only going to get 5 clicks a day with a $25 per day budget. And it's going to take longer to get conversions and get data for that specific campaign. Okay, so that's some things I want to leave you off with. If you have any questions, let me know in the comments. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next video.